1,000 people call for justice for someone they believe is a man of peace. These protesters have travelled with Iranian cleric Mansour Leghaei from Sydney to bring their message directly to Australia's Parliament House in Canberra. They want the government to overturn its order for him to be deported. The crowd is mostly made up of members of Leghaei's congregation, but representatives of other faiths have come along to lend their support.
The support of the community is just unbelievable.
Unlike some other Muslim clerics in Australia who've made the headlines, Leghaei has not preached messages of extremism or hate. In the 16 years he's been in Australia under temporary visas, Leghaei's become a respected voice of moderation in his community. But the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation has at least twice given Leghaei what it calls adverse assessments. His application for permanent residency has been rejected. He's appealed unsuccessfully and has now exhausted all legal avenues. But he and his supporters are still hoping that pressure from the UN and such prominent figures as Archbishop Desmond Tutu may force the government to change its mind. The intelligence services refuse to say what evidence they have against Leghaei. ASIO says it doesn't have to because Leghaei is not an Australian citizen. Minister for Immigration and Citizenship Chris Evans declined to comment to Al Jazeera, but in a statement he said, "I am satisfied that I have acted in the national interest in refusing to grant Dr. Leghaei a permanent visa." But Leghaei's lawyer says current legislation contravenes Australia's UN human rights obligations.
Australia has no Bill of Rights and a person can't claim their human right to a fair hearing in the Australian courts, so he was always going to fail in the Australian courts.
This is the Lakemba area of Sydney, with shops selling everything from hijabs to halal meat. It's very much a focal point for the city's Muslims. But it's also a refuge from a host community that's very different to their own. And the case of Sheikh Mansour Leghaei illustrates those tensions.
We have to really consider this, that with all Islamophobia, for 16 years, I'm the only person in the Shia community that is well known and practiced it to bridge the gap between Muslim and non-Muslim community. Yet, being accused of national security is abhorrent.
But at least one expert says the fact that the opposition party has not thrown its weight behind Leghaei suggests the security services may have some compelling evidence.
Evidence which the opposition have been privileged to see is such that they see no point in objecting.
Some of Leghaei's supporters say his departure could anger many Australian Muslims, raising the possibility that a new leader with more radical views may take his place. Azhar Sukri, Al Jazeera, Sydney.